pan out, man. This is such a big game. It's like so much rides on this,
Right?
Because this is the final game here in this series, and it's single elimination. You know, this one game can be the difference between getting knocked out in the quarterfinals. Everyone's like, oh, you got last place, or theoretically, you win this game, you could go all the way, win the tournament, get that qualifier for BlizzCon. You know, this is huge.
Right. Notice how the loot hoarder ends up making a huge impact here, because keeping a card like Backstab in this matchup is a pretty poor idea.
Okay.
So you want to be mulliganing for your auctioneer. So it's pretty unlikely your opponent keeps a card like Shiv or Backstab in their opening hand. So this loot hoarder, again, forcing Gnimsh's hand by making him make this dagger, and this 2 extra damage becomes pretty relevant in this spot, as well as digging into your deck. So he's gotten pretty lucky to draw this auctioneer here, but this loot hoarder pulling a lot more weight, I think, than you can give it credit for. It's just sort of like an on-paper effect, but when you see the game start to pan out, this loot hoarder makes a really big difference in this matchup.
Yeah, definitely can make a big difference. And I mean, how big of a deal do you think that Van Cleef is? You know, having that early Van Cleef, you know, as opposed to having the auctioneer. Do you think having that auctioneer is a big advantage?
I think having an auctioneer is a bigger advantage than having the Van Cleef, but the Van Cleef can certainly get some work done. Sort of interesting though, he actually doesn't play a Deadly Poison here. And I think one of the reasons he doesn't do it is maybe because he doesn't want to encourage Earth and Farseer getting played. But at the same time, he may not be wanting to do it because he's looking forward to playing his own Van Cleef that he has. So both these players having Van Cleef. Gnimsh's hand is a little bit weaker, again, because he doesn't have Auctioneer at this point. So you may see him have to go all in on a Van Cleef and hope that they can get the work done. But the fear of that is, of course, sap from the other player.
Yeah, and I believe Gnimsh does have a sap in hand, which is, you know, a nice position to be sitting in, whereas obviously Hyped is not sitting with the sap, but he does have that Gadgetzan Auctioneer. And, you know, you talked about the Deadly Poison, you know, wanting to play that or not. He has double Deadly Poison in hand right now. You know, you can obviously start getting a lot of work done, but having not played it last turn, do you play it this turn? I mean, do you really just want to save it? He can obviously be saving it for combos with the Auctioneer, for combos with Van Cleef, and he's definitely considering his options at this point. But, you know, if he didn't play it last turn, what are the kind of big advantages of playing it this turn? Do you think he even goes for, you know, a Deadly Poison and Van Cleef, just throws down that Van Cleef, gets something out there?
Yeah, a 4/4 is a big enough threat, I think, because it forces your opponent to,
oh, wow.
Whoa, this would be really weird.
Oh, he's, wow.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so he wants to make a 6/6 here. I'm actually really surprised he doesn't instead of making a 4/4. He wants to force out,
especially with the Auctioneer.
Right, he wants to force out a Backstab into this right here, and that's kind of a quirky play. I'm not sure if that's what you would have expected him to do. Ooh, and now he's going to play the sap from the right side, which is actually going to hide the fact that he has a sap in his hand now. It looks like he got pretty lucky with that. But you're going to see a coin and his own 6/6 Van Cleef.
No.
So this game is kind of taking a crazy turn. I would have liked to see a poison in a Van Cleef that last turn, because again, one of the most common answers you're going to see to it is sap. If your opponent has to burn and eviscerate on it, I think you're kind of okay with that because you bought yourself 4 damage.
Yeah, and you know, no saps in hand here for Hyped, so a little bit awkward. I mean, obviously there are ways that you can deal with it, but you know, you're gonna have to maybe expend some life total here.
Right.
Do you think you just drop the Drake? He's gonna go with the backstab.
Yeah, he's gonna
Deadly Poison up.
Yeah, he wants another big Van Cleef here, and he's gonna have to pay 6 life to do it. But sort of a test, like Gnimsh luck, of course, coming into major effect here. He's got a second sap in his hand. Oh my gosh, and he just drew Auctioneer. This is a huge draw. You're going to see Auctioneer preparation and sap. He's going to kill 2 Van Cleefs in a row now. Hyped has burned a lot of cards from his hand to get to this position, and suddenly this table has been turned drastically by this single draw.
Yeah, that is a huge draw, and honestly, at this point, you have to say Gnimsh has a pretty massive lead.
Oh my gosh, and a Leroy Jenkins with 2 Shadow Steps.
Oh no.
This is big trouble for Hyped. Hyped's already down to 18 points of life. This could be game in 2 turns.
Yeah, it could, man, and that is brutal. Just such good draws, honestly, for Gnimsh. Hyped, you know, he's playing it well, but
no, he actually doesn't have a way to kill this Auctioneer without taking more damage either.
Yeah, there's nothing he can do, and he needs to clear it. So, this is just brutal for him, man. He's gonna hit the face. Do you think he's just gonna replay that? Okay, he's a backstab now.
Oh my gosh, he still can't deal with it without taking damage.
No, I mean, do you think he just? And he wants to play the Van Cleef, so it's rough.
Wow, this is a brutal spot. This is an example of why dealing this damage is so important in this matchup.
Yeah.
Because again, both players have a very low critical mass. So when you're trying to fight for this card advantage, a lot of times what ends up happening is you just lose the race. And it's because your opponent has such a powerful draw. Like this one single draw changed the entire game, but at the same effect, just a Leroy Jenkins would have really changed it because he's still looking at 18 points of damage in his hand. The 2 saps being utterly crucial to this bought him so much time against this Van Cleef that, oh my gosh, and a cold blood.
Man. Oh god.
This turn is absolutely brutal. if you're in Hyped's position, because I think he's going to try to set up a lethal next turn. And I think the way he's going to do this is he's going to play Leroy Jenkins now. He's going to attack his opponent. He's going to use Shadow Step, dagger up, and then hope he doesn't die.
Yeah.
So he'll be facing down 8 points of damage between the 2 Whelps and the 6/6 Van Cleef. It looks like he's counting. He may not even have to risk that next turn because he drew this Cold Blood now. So he can actually almost even wait. And I think he's going to wait because if he goes for the all-in this turn and he misses, what ends up happening is an Earthen Wing Farseer can potentially save some of this damage that's going on. But he doesn't even have to take the risk with the Leroy this turn because he drew this Cold Blood. So
yeah, I mean,
this is dire straits if you're Hyped. And Hyped doesn't know he's got Leroy Jenkins, of course, so he feels safe playing this Auctioneer. But that's going to be game.
Yeah.
Going over to Gnimsh. Gnimsh taking the series 3-2, again on the back of just hyper-aggression.
Yeah, hyper-aggression and 2 saps.
Wow, and a second Cold Blood. He doesn't even need it.
And the Blade Flurry comes out. Well played is called. And that has got to be a bit frustrating for Hype Man. Double sap there to deal with that. And,
the man, the myth, the legend, the luck of Gnimsh coming into play, not only with the Auctioneer, but with the Leroy. The 2 Shadow Steps doing nothing until he draws his Leroy, of course. He doesn't even have to use the Shadow Steps. He's only using cards to the right side of his deck. This is a beautiful match between these 2 players. I think both of them played this fantastically, but it's just, when you make the best decisions you can, with what you get, you let the cards decide the rest. And when you're playing against a player, again, like Gnimsh, it's not the position you want to be in.
yeah, well, very well played there.